Right. Coming to insulin, I'll give you a brief overview of its actions. Insulin. So it has actions specifically related to metabolism. It will have carbohydrate, lipid, and metabolic functions. So in the sense, first of all, coming to carbohydrate metabolism, as in insulin's function on carbohydrate metabolism, this will stimulate glucose uptake in peripheral tissue, so that the total amount of glucose that is present in blood will decrease. Right, it will make sure that glucose is pushed into skeletal muscles and adipose tissue. Another thing it will do is it will inhibit glucose production from liver, so it will stop gluconeogenesis from occurring, or to put it in another way, it will stop glycogenolysis to occur. Okay, it will make sure that glycogen is not breaking down into glucose. When we talk with respect to lipid metabolism, it will make sure that it is inhibiting breakdown of fat. Okay, it will not let fat get broken down. Lipids breakdown will not occur in the presence of insulin, and it will promote triglyceride synthesis. Okay, specifically in case of diabetes mellitus, what will happen is, because lipid metabolism is, or the insulin's function on lipid metabolism is improper, free fatty acids will be formed. Okay, and those free fatty acids will be converted into ketones, because your we have already discussed this in diabetes, but in any case, what happens in diabetes is, your body is not able to use glucose. Either there's not enough amount of insulin, or there is resistance to insulin. The receptor of insulin is not working properly. Because of either of these reasons, what will happen is glucose is not used by the cell for energy. In turn, what will happen, fatty acids will start substituting glucose, and as a result, it will get, free fatty acids will start getting converted into ketones. Hence, ketone bodies will increase in the person's serum, and the patient will have decay, diabetic ketoacidosis. They will have ketonuria, they will have ketonemia, they'll start having fruity breath and all of that. So that is the function of insulin on lipid metabolism. With respect to protein metabolism, insulin is specifically a anabolic drug, in the sense that insulin promotes amino acid uptake. Okay, uptake by muscle, and it will make sure that protein synthesis is occurring. Okay, it will make sure that protein synthesis, it's stimulating protein synthesis in a way. It also inhibits protein breakdown from occurring, so you can gauge that it is causing an overall anabolic effect. Okay, it induces growth in a way. Now, side effects of giving insulin as such, insulin hormone can be given synthetically, as in you can give it to patients with diabetes. Now, you have different preparations of insulin that you get. We'll discuss about that. But in general, whenever you give insulin, there are some common side effects. One will be hypoglycemia. Even though you are trying to treat um, hyperglycemia, okay, what happens is, when you give insulin and it is not controlled, it can lead to hypoglycemia. It can cause allergies, can lead to lipodystrophy, okay, and edema. These are some of the common side effects associated with insulin. Now, if we talk about the preparations of insulin that you generally find in the market, you will mainly have four different types of preparations. Okay, you'll have rapid acting, short acting, intermediate acting, and long acting. Okay, then you will give it in combinations is a different thing. But rapid acting में mainly आपको आता Novolog, Humalog, Epidra. These are nothing but a combination of insulin. So you'll also get insulin Lispro. You might find insulin aspartate. ठीक है. The USP of rapid acting, the unique selling point of rapid acting insulin is that it will start working very, very quickly. There is a difference between rapid acting and short acting. Okay, rapid acting will start very quickly, it will not last very long. Okay, the duration is around 3 to 5 hours, but you can give it immediately before eating, and you can give it in case of emergency as well. Okay, short acting, on the other hand, you generally have regular insulin that is short acting. It will work only for 6 to 8 hours, but it will take slightly longer than rapid acting to start working. Okay, it will take around half an hour to 1 hour to start working. You take this around half an hour before eating. Diabetes patients. Then we have intermediate acting. Intermediate acting का एक example is NPH. NPH is neutral protamine hagedron. Okay, NPH insulin बोल के मिलता. It is also called isophane insulin, either one which you want to remember. The duration of action is moderately long in the sense that it'll work for 18 to 24 hours. So you can give it based on the dosage. You can give it for 1 to 2 times per day. Sometimes one time a day is also fine. Again, the onset of action will increase with this. It will take around 1 to 2 hours for the drug to start working and showing its effect. Okay, for glucose level to stabilize. Then you have longer acting drugs. Long acting, you have Lantus and Levemir are mentioned here. You also have Ultralent. You have protamine zinc. Protamine zinc insulin बोल के मिलता. You can take insulin glargine, insulin demetes. All of them are long acting insulins. They will work for minimum is 24 hours. Some of them will work for more than 24 hours, 20 to 24 hours, or sometimes more than 24 hours. These also take 1 to 2 hours to start showing their effect. Now, combination इसलिए देते because you want the function to start quickly, and you want the function to go on for a long period of time. So for example, if I what do you call, if I combine a regular acting or a rapid acting drug, which is working within 10 minutes to 30 minutes, with an intermediate acting drug, which works for almost 24 hours, then I will have a drug, or I will give insulin that is able to start working very quickly. So I'm able to achieve hypoglycemia quickly or normal glycemia quickly, and I'm able to sustain it for a long period of time. Okay, that is the advantage of giving combinations. You get several different combinations. Another advantage of giving combination is that you can reduce the doses of individual drugs. Now, coming to specific drug interactions associated with insulin, drug interactions. Two important interactions that you need to remember about insulin is one with beta adrenergic blockers. So your labetalol, propranolol, all of those beta blockers, unke साथ. What is the drug in this thing interaction? The interaction is that whenever a patient is having hypoglycemia, okay, I told you insulin ka one of the most important side effects is hypoglycemia. When you're trying to treat for hyperglycemia, it can in turn cause hypoglycemia. The problem is that if hypoglycemia occurs in a normal patient without beta blocker, let's suppose, okay, one of the first symptoms that the patient will have is tachycardia. Their heart will start beating very quickly. That is as a result of hypoglycemia. Now, if the patient is on a beta blocker, that tachycardia does not occur. It will get masked. Okay, beta blockers do not let tachycardia to occur. So the problem here is that if you combine beta blocker and insulin, it'll stop the warning symptom of tachycardia. You'll not be able to assess that the patient might be having hypoglycemia. Okay, you will not see the sign of hypoglycemia, which is tachycardia, especially when you what do you call, it also causes prolongation of hypoglycemia. If you give beta adrenergic blockers along with insulin, hypoglycemia will go on for a long period of time. So one drug interaction is with beta blockers. So interaction will be, one second, uh, combo with insulin blocks or masks tachycardia, and beta blockers prolong hypoglycemia. So hypoglycemia that is initially caused by insulin will get prolonged in the presence of beta blockers. So those are the two problems with respect to beta blockers and insulin combination. Second drug will be salicylates. Okay, mainly your aspirin. Okay. What salicylates do is they will precipitate hypoglycemia. They increase insulin secretion, and they increase the sensitivity of beta cells to glucose. Because of which, what happens is if you give salicylates with insulin, there will be excessive amount of hypoglycemia. So insulin salicylates precipitate hypoglycemia by increasing insulin secretion. and by sensitizing beta cells to glucose. They will increase the sensitivity of beta cells to glucose. So those are the two main drug interactions that you need to remember. Never give salicylates with insulin and never give beta blockers with insulin. You'll have to switch the drugs whenever you have a patient who is taking either one of these. Okay, if a patient is supposed to be taking insulin and they are already on beta blockers or salicylates, change the drug. ठीक है, या तो change insulin or you change insulin to oral hypoglycemic drug or you change beta adrenergic blockers or salicylates to use an alternative drug. Okay, so this is about insulin and how it is used for diabetes. Now coming to oral hypoglycemic drugs, इन लोगों को OHS भी बोलते हैं, oral hypoglycemic drugs. Now, oral hypoglycemic drugs have 5 main categories under which there will be subcategories and drugs in those subcategories. Okay, so we'll go one by one. First of all, we have sulfonylureas. Okay, or to put it in another way, once again, I'll put the class itself: drugs that increase insulin release. Drugs that increase insulin release. Okay, इसमें आते दो type of drugs. A will be sulfonylureas. Okay. Then you have B is meglitinides. Sulfonylureas will have two generations. First generation, you have tolbutamide and tolazamide. Okay, I'll give two drugs from each class. That should be enough. Second generation, you have glibenclamide, glimepiride, okay, and glipizide. These are the commonly used ones. Okay, meglitinides में you have repaglinide and natiglinide. ठीक है, दिस इज द फर्स्ट मेन क्लास ड्रग्स दैट विल इंक्रीज इंसुलिन रिलीज. इसमें दो सब कैटेगरीज है, सल्फोनाइलयूरियास एंड मेग्लेटोनाइड्स. सल्फोनाइलयूरियास विल हैव टू जनरेशंस, फर्स्ट जनरेशन, सेकंड जनरेशन. फर्स्ट जनरेशन के एग्जांपल्स आर टॉलब्यूटामाइड, टोलाजामाइड. सेकंड जनरेशन के एग्जांपल्स आर ग्लिबेnclamide, glimepiride and glipizide. Now first of all, coming to sulfonylureas, we'll do class by class. Okay, sulfonylurea. Now, sulfonylureas may the mechanism of action remains the same in either of those generations. It will function by doing 2 to 3 different mechanisms. Okay, there'll be 2 to 3 functions that sulfonylureas do. Mechanism of action: these reduce blood glucose by, so first thing it will do is stimulate, see, it will do stimulation of insulin. Okay, it will stimulate the release of insulin from beta cells. So it is increasing the insulin output from beta cells of your pancreas. Second thing it will do is it will increase sensitivity of peripheral tissue to insulin. See, diabetes mellitus में दोनों होते. One problem is insulin level is low. Second problem it can be is that the patient's receptors are insensitive. Resistance has been developed in the receptors of insulin in a patient. So sulfonylureas are helping in both the fronts. It is increasing the sensitivity in peripheral tissue to insulin, and it is increasing the release of insulin from pancreatic beta cell. Another function it does is it will increase the number of insulin receptors on the cell along with suppressing gluconeogenesis. So those are the 4 main functions it does. So first function will be stimulating insulin release. um, from pancreas or beta cells of pancreas, either way. Okay. Then second function will be increasing insulin sensitivity in peripheral tissues. Then it will increase number of insulin receptors. Okay, total number of insulin receptors अगर बढ़े तो there is a higher chance for insulin to act on that particular cell, and it will suppress, one second, it suppresses gluconeogenesis. Okay, so these are the four main functions, or these are the four main actions rather than mechanisms of action, I would say. These are the main actions of sulfonylureas. Now coming to specific mechanism of action, how this sulfonylurea work? MOA. What this does is it will bind to receptors on pancreatic beta cells, and it will block potassium channels on the receptor. The result will be that there is decreased conductance of potassium. If if potassium's conductance is decreased, what will happen is calcium will start going inside the cell. Okay, there will be influx of calcium. Because of this influx of calcium, insulin will be released. That is the mechanism of action. So mechanism of action में आता sulfonylureas these will bind to receptors on pancreatic beta cells, ठीक है, and block potassium channels, ठीक है. In the sense potassium conductance will get suppressed. Okay, potassium will not be able to get conducted properly. As a result, what will happen is it will lead to depolarization of cell. In response to depolarization, calcium will start going inside the cell. Okay, this will lead to increased calcium influx. Okay, as a result of increased calcium influx, the patient will have degranulation of insulin granules, and insulin will be present as granules inside beta cells. Whenever there is a lot of calcium coming inside the cell, inside the beta cell, they will get degranulated. Think of it this way: insulin is an inactive form inside the cell. Once calcium is present, a lot of calcium gets inside the cell. That insulin will get activated and it will come out, leading to insulin release. That is the mechanism of action of sulfonylureas. Okay, so now coming to specific drugs, first generation drug may mainly tolbutamide. So if we talk about tolbutamide, okay, this is a short acting drug, meaning there is a lesser chance of hypoglycemia. अगर थोड़ी देर के लिए काम करा, if it is acting for a long period of time, there is a higher chance that a drug can cause hypoglycemia. If it is only working for a short period of time, there is a lesser chance of hypoglycemia in occurring. Okay, that is why it is safe to use in elderly patients. Okay, elderly patients में hypoglycemia will be very bad. Okay, it can wreak havoc around their body. Especially prolonged hypoglycemia can cause a lot of problems. So in such senses, tolbutamide is the ideal drug in them because it is short acting. Even though they have to take it several times a day, generally you will give it a combination, but even if they have to take it 2 to 3 times a day, there is lesser chance of that patient having hypoglycemia. The another problem is that it will cause other side effects. It will cause the increased side effects of some other type. All right, we'll discuss about those side effects as well. uh, then we have second generation drug. So tolbutamide is a drug that is used in elderly, as it um, as there is lesser chance. 1 second. 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 of hypoglycemia as it is short acting drug. Okay, that is the advantage of first generation sulfonylurea tolbutamide. Then coming to second generation, this is more potent than tolbutamide. Okay, it has fewer side effects and drug interactions as well. Mainly your glibenclamide, glimepiride, glipizide. These are commonly used second generations. There are other drugs as well, but these ones are common. Glimepiride especially quite common. ग्लिपिजाइड बोल के एक और ड्रग रहता, बट इट हैज वेरी वेरी शॉर्ट टी हाफ एंड फूड जनरली इंटरफियर्स विद इट्स अब्जॉर्प्शन, तो उसको ज्यादा यूज नहीं करते. You find it in some hospitals, but as such glimepiride is used more commonly. Okay, these second generation sulfonylureas, they can cause hypoglycemia. Okay, so you have to use it very cautiously if you're using it in elderly people. Okay, completely contraindicated in case of renal and hepatic impairment. So these drugs, first of all, coming to second generation, यहाँ पर आता आपका ग्लिमेपिराइड. अरे second generation glimepiride. Okay, these drugs, fewer side effects and fewer drug interactions. Okay, but higher chance of causing hypoglycemia. Use carefully when use carefully in elderly patients. All right. Sulfonylureas on the whole are contraindicated in patients who have renal and hepatic impairment. Okay. Contraindications, renal and hepatic impairment. Now, specifically, if we talk about PK, sulfonylureas as such will get absorbed orally very well until and unless it is glipizide, because glipizide, there is interference in absorption if you are giving it with food. Otherwise, orally अच्छा absorb होते हैं. Sulfonylureas, they get very very closely, tightly bound to plasma proteins, and they are metabolized by liver. Mainly excretion will be in urine. Okay, all sulfonylureas, almost all sulfonylureas get excreted through urine. Avoid in patients with renal and hepatic failure, as I told you. Okay, dosage will vary a lot. Now you can have, for example, tolbutamide you can give around 500 mg 2 to 3 times a day. Okay, अगर आप let's suppose glibenclamide दिए, you use glibenclamide, second generation के dose will be much more less. Okay, tolbutamide was 500 mg, right? Glibenclamide will only be 5 mg. 5 mg is given 1 to 2 times per day. Okay, glimepiride as well. Glimepiride is generally given 1 to 4 mg OD, single, one time a day. Okay, because it acts for a longer duration of time, you can decrease the number of the frequency of the drug. Okay, so we'll discuss about the drug interactions associated with sulfonylureas. There are drugs that will increase hypoglycemic effect and drugs that will decrease the action of sulfonylureas tomorrow. All right.